in YouTube Live. And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Give me half a second. The YouTube thing takes a minute.
In YouTube Live. And Madam.
Okay. All right, Mr. Claus,
Here.
Mr. Kramer,
Here.
Mr. Skips,
Here.
Mrs. Welch,
Here.
Mr. Jacobson,
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
and Mr. Keller is absent.
Keller is absent, okay. And Madam Clerk, would you do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And Councilman Jacobson will lead us into the invocation.
Thank you. Let us pray. Father, we are so grateful for this country that we live in and for the freedoms that we enjoy here. We're thankful, Father, that we were able to have a successful 4th of July celebration yesterday. We're also thankful, Father, that we are not in harm's way with the forest fires, and we pray that Thou wilt bless us with an abundance of rain so that we could reduce the risk of loss of lives and property. Very grateful, Father, for all that Thou hast given us, and we ask for Thy inspiration and guidance tonight. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Sure.
We'll go to an action item 4 for approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is for approval by Jacobson, seconded by Claus. Any discussion on that?
Mayor, move to amend the agenda
State your amendment.
to approve by consent items A, B, and C under new business. By consenting.
Do I have a second? So, okay, motion to amend by Claus, seconded by Jacobson. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the question?
Yes. Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mrs. Welch,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Does anyone wish to change the vote? Now to the agenda as amended, please call the question.
okay. Mrs. Welch,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Any change of vote? Seeing none, the agenda has now been approved. Item 5 is a motion item for approval of the minutes from the June 20th, 2022.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Where was the second from?
Skips.
Skips, okay. Motion from Welch, seconded by Skips. Any discussion on the minutes? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mrs. Welch,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. So the minutes are now recorded or approved for 6/20. We go to item 6, communications from the mayor. I'll catch you up on one thing that I was joined with my wife and with Ellie Glab and her husband, Lincoln, at the military appreciation banquet that was at the Carlson Center back in June. I almost forgot to report that on June the 11th. And we hosted 5 members of the military from the United States Army. We had Jonathan Rodriguez and his wife Kathleen from Fort Wainwright. We had Tech Sergeant Jimmy Rich that was from Eielson Air Force Base, and we had a retired colonel that was a doctor, an anesthesiologist. Mad Dog Mattis, our former Secretary of Defense, was a guest speaker. That general really hit a home run with everyone there. what he taught us, what we learned from him. It was a very good event. There were about 600 people in attendance. It's one of the best things we do for this community. And for two military commanders, they never got to see that because the COVID got in the way for a couple of years. So to see it come back to the Carlson Center Live was a great undertaking. And it shows that we do have a great concern of being partners with our military families in our community. So I was very proud to be there and to host those people at our table. Moving on to what I've done just most recently. Of course, I'm going to brag about yesterday's activities first and foremost. I got into City Hall at 7:25 yesterday morning to put on the coffee and stuff. And we set up here in the parking lot for the registration. Most of the people that participated in the firecracker run, that was a 5K event. Most of them had already pre-registered online, but they came to fill out their paperwork. There were more than 70 participants, not counting the little children that were being pushed around in strollers. I will tell you that I started the race first and I finished last, which was good for me to do. And I did all of it in a little under 57 minutes. So I didn't really push too hard. And I have to share this story with you. There was a family that I met, which was over at the Santa Senior Center where we had the pancake breakfast. And they couldn't wait to meet Santa Claus. They figured that the Santa Senior Center, and it's got Jolly Nick's face there, he must be there to have breakfast with him. So I got to know they were from Seward. Well, those are the people I actually walked the 5K with, and they're from Seward, and the mom's a kindergarten teacher, and the one little girl was having her birthday probably today, if I'm not mistaken, but they were kind of fun to be with. And what I got was a lot of really good compliments on all of our parks, our schools, how nice everything looked, how things looked even here in our parking lot at the registration with all our flowers and things. And so the kids, I said, look, you know, if you kids lived here, that would be your school, the North Pole Elementary School. And if you did, look right across the street, that brown building, Santa Claus lives there. So they wanted to know, could they move in right away? So that was pretty good. But then I told them, now, I want you to know this, those who are first shall be last, but those who are last shall be first. So if you trust me, you'll come in with me because we're bringing up the rear. We'll be the last ones in. So because they were the Red Lanterns, brother and sister, and they tied getting in 56 minutes, they each got a $25 gift card to the Cold Stone Creamery. So that was a lesson well taught. And the mother, for keeping them together and making them happy, she got a beach towel as a gift. So that worked out pretty good. Then, of course, I finally made it to the Grange after 12 noon. Oh, man, it was fantastic. All the vendors, I think there were about 18 vendors there. I've never seen so many happy people. Unsupervised band went on a little bit after 12, and they finally shut down at 2:30. 30 minutes later, Earl Hughes and whoever it was accompanying him, they came on, and I stayed till about 5:30. So that was a really good deal. Somehow I got into the adult watermelon eating contest. You couldn't have a watermelon seed spitting contest because these are seedless watermelons pretty much. But I think everybody had a good time, and I think I'll save some room for someone else to brag about that. But on to important matters. Here in my office on Friday last week, we hosted 2 professional engineers, and one of them, you might know, he owns the Silver Gulch up in Fox, and with him was the prior owner of Gulfstream Engineering. So you had Mark Sherman, and you had Glenn. Help me with Glenn's last name there. From
You're asking the wrong person. I don't remember.
Anyhow, they're working on a project to have a new way. Maybe I'll let Danny talk about it in his report, but a new way to build structures here that would defy the Arctic cold and actually give us faster way and a better way, and to also provide us with a very nice, better type of structure to withstand Arctic cold. So it'd be more energy efficient. So I'm very happy to work with them. Earlier today, I was up at the university at the Alaska Petroleum Engineering Department with Brent Sheets. I've been working the syngas team with them since November of 2020. And so this is the first time I ever got to go up there. But we've already putting the final touches on our product that goes to Department of Energy. The original report went in May 31st. So today we were outlining how we have till July 22nd to get a report to the Northwest Division of Department of Energy, to a person up there that's in the technical assistance program, so that we could get him to tell us what we need to do to fix our report, or how we can improve it, or things that we should take out of it so that it has a better chance of passing. And we're expecting to know after Labor Day if Department of Energy will give us a green light on that. I'll tell you some upcoming events you might want to put on your calendar. Some of them have somewhat of a conflicting date here. You have the summer session of Alaska Municipal League. That's going to be held in Sitka this year. So if you get with the clerk, she can help you with your travel arrangements and registering for that event if you want to go to it. It will be hosted in Sitka August 10th through 12th. So that's a Wednesday through a Friday. I caution that part of the problem is the airlines is making sure that if you want to get there to start on the 10th, you're going to have to leave here on the 9th. And don't think you're going to get out of there on the 12th with all those people trying to fly on Alaska Airlines. You may find yourself staying through the 12th at Sitka. So that's on the agenda, and I'm sure the clerk will provide you with a link to the Alaska Municipal League site if you want to see what they're doing. Also coming up in that weekend, this is where I have a conflict, is the energy fair at Chena Hot Springs, and we've sponsored it last year. And if I'm going to do a sponsorship, I feel I should be there, and that's August 12th through 14th, and this will be the 16th annual energy fair. I know the Secretary of Energy, Ms. Branston will be back again, Senator Murkowski will be back again, so that's pretty much where we're at with that. So I personally want to be there. I can't be there and Sitka at the same time. So we'll figure out if somebody's going to go, like if Santa wants to go to Sitka, here's your big chance. And you and I can't travel together either. I guess you probably know that. We're not allowed to travel together. Let me see. Is there anything I'm forgetting about? I think that's the most important part of it all. Oh, yes. Last Friday, I had a discussion with Dr. Ed Packey, and he's doing his quality control look at the dirt samples that were taken off the Howard Field. He said he didn't get his portion of the report till after the close of business on Tuesday. So he notified us close to our close of business on Wednesday, but he told me on Friday he hasn't even had the opportunity to do a QC on it. So I'm trying to remind him that the next time we meet, which will be July 18th, it would be a good idea for him to have been able to fully brief us. And whether we have a workshop or not, I don't know. In reference to something I was asked in the meeting of the whole, for anyone who's listening, right now we're trying to put our chambers back together again. We're trying to do it in a way that makes sense, that it's going to be nice, it's going to be clean, and that it's going to be serviceable. I know that we have one hiccup with that, and that is that Alaska Universal Productions won't seem to have the equipment shipping to us till September 2nd. So as far as the new audiovisual system, I don't expect that to be installed till the end of September. So that's pretty much my mayor's report and communications from the mayor. And we go to item 7. Are there any questions from the mayor? For the mayor? And I see no questions for the mayor. So now we're going to go to our department heads, item 8. So Ms. Fogarty, you're on with us. Tricia.
Good evening, everyone. I had put a couple things together. Basically, the last few weeks since we had the last council meeting, we completed the audit. I have a final draft form right now. I kind of was waiting for the the audit that didn't have that on there, but I will send out the final draft to you. And then there's a letter to the governing body that I will send out. I have some highlights highlighted for you. I'll send that out tomorrow. We are still working on some bank reconciliations, so I didn't send out financials yet, just because if I sent them out, they're not correct. And then the mayor asked me to go over some information today, and I was gonna share my screen with you, but if I VPN, I kind of lose the Zoom call. So I could kind of just go over briefly what I found out as far as the interest that we've earned through Mount McKinley Bank versus the interest we've earned with AML investment pool through Key Bank. So about a year ago, we were earning, 2 years ago, we were earning pretty good money with the AML investment pool, but then it just kind of, after COVID, went down to pretty much nothing. So I have January through June here, and January, February, we earned about $21 on roughly $2.5 million. March, we went down to $19 on the same amount of money. May went up to $195, same amount of money. And then June just came in and it was $1,041, and that's Mount McKinley Bank. So the money that we have there is in our reserve account. So we have about, I'm sorry. That was AML. And we have about 2.5 million in there, roughly. The interest in Mount McKinley in January was about $550. The lowest amount was in February, which is less days. That's $470. And the highest amount was in June, which was $615. And that was about roughly an average of 4.5 million. So AML, obviously something has changed with them in the last month, which is probably what the mayor was indicating at the last meeting. And we don't have June's statement in yet, so we won't know kind of what the next month holds. But obviously it jumped up quite a bit. And I do have some sales tax figures I can share with you. We are up this year versus 2021 for the months. Mostly about $50,000 each month. February last year, 2021 was 258 million or 258,000, and 2022 was 300,000. And in June, I'll just drop down to June, and it was in 2021 was 320,000, and 2022 was 420,000. So about $10,000 more over last year in just the last month. So I'm going to keep it. That is just sales tax. That doesn't include online sales tax. We didn't start that until I think March of last year. And I will send the final draft that Gary sent on last week on Thursday. I'm assuming he is on the agenda for next meeting to go over the audit. Things looked really well, and I'll give you what I have so you can kind of look it over in case you have any questions. Give a couple weeks to kind of let that kind of marinate a little bit. Now I'll entertain any questions you have.
Madam Tricia, I'll make a recommendation that you take those reports and you give them to the clerk for her to share with us in the future, because she has the ability to share that with her screen. I don't think it'll knock her offline. I would like to say we're always talking about what we might make an interest. And the thing is, as y'all may have very well known, interest rates are going up. The Fed has been pushing to try to stop or halt this full runaway inflation. So the 2, 5, 7, 10, and 30-year yields were way up. And that's part of what dictates what kind of interest we're getting. So when we were down at 0% or 0.05%, if you could even say 0.05% of interest, it was because of the interfund transfer rates between banks. Now that that's changed with interest rates being jacked up by the Fed, then I get that newsletter that comes out from the Alaska Municipal League Investment Pool, and I get to see the statements from McKinley Bank as well. So I'd expect that somewhere cautiously within the next 60 days, we may start to get back to close to 2% interest before Labor Day from the AMLIP. And you can see we have a lot less money in the AMLIP than we have in the McKinley Bank Fund, but it's outperforming what McKinley Bank will give us. I want to share something while I have you, and I'll have Patricia try to keep track for us as we go through the rest of this year. In the period of time that ended December 31st of 2019, the city expended $98,000 for heating oil. We're only talking about heating oil, not electricity or natural gas, just heating oil to heat our water treatment, our wastewater treatment, and our public buildings, meaning our city hall, fire, police department. That was $98,000. For the period that ended 31 December of 2020, we expended somewhere close to $104,000. So it's pretty much the same. But for the period that ended December 31st of 2021, when heating oil went past $2.77 a gallon and was coming up on $4.70 a gallon for heating oil, we went to $224,000. So now we've had a half a year, 2 quarters of 2022 have passed. So I'm going to ask Tricia to try to pull up for us for our next meeting in July. So I'm already putting this on the record that I want to know what we did in the first half year in heating oil. But at the rate that I see that it's increasing, we may very well blow way past our budget and go well over $400,000 for the year of 2022. It's anyone's guess where we're at so far. But if you think that you'll have those numbers by the July 18th meeting to say what we've expended through June, it should give us an idea of how we're going to finish the rest of the year. And so I have been sharing those numbers with the staff so I can analyze what we're spending. And if we're spending that on heating oil, you can imagine what we're spending on gasoline, what we're going to spend on electricity and all those other things that make the city run. So it's going to be very hard. Does anyone have any questions for Tricia? Any concerns? So Tricia, if you'll take that advisement under advisement to print your reports out and get them to the clerk before 1 o'clock when we make a meeting, she'll be able to find a way to display that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You want to look at heating oil and GVA electricity?
Yeah, you can certainly, because Golden Valley's just got a rate increase, but you know, we had a pretty cold winter, but we also had challenges because if y'all don't know this, heating oil is now costing us more than $5 a gallon, and we never ever could have forecast that in our budget. Okay. Any questions for Tricia?
I have a question, but I'm not sure if it's Trisha related. Does anyone know when Thai Cuisine is going to open up, and how much are we losing from revenue from that?
You're breaking up. Can you ask that question again?
I said, does anyone know when Thai Cuisine is going to open back up, and are we losing a lot of tax revenue from that restaurant?
Oh, yeah, no, I know that they had some contractors in there, and then there was a stymate, and now we've had some new in the last week we've had some new people come in that are going to work on the building. So I can inquire that and kind of report on that the next meeting. I think what they had is a contractor, and then the contractor didn't finish the job, and now they're working on a new contractor. But that's just my personal opinion. So.
And Councilman Cromer, are you asking what we used to get? You want to kind of get an idea of what we may be losing as far as sale tax revenue, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm sure she could tell us what we used to get. And then because that happened, unfortunately, before the year ended. So we might not have a full total picture. We have to look at a previous year.
I can share that information with you privately, but That is confidential to the public, so I can't just point them out and share that with them, with everyone
No,
on a live meeting,
Yeah.
if you understand what I'm saying.
sure. Any other questions for Ms. Fogarty? Thank you. And Danny, you're up next.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll provide kind of a quick city services update. Again, we focus on 3 areas in city services: water utilities, public works, and building. For water utilities, we have several meetings over the past couple weeks to discuss our sewer outfall projects with Stantec and our downtown area distribution project to replace the aging steel pipes. We're awaiting more details and proposals from both Stantec and Respect. Respect's looking at our Respect and Stantec are looking at some of the plans for the steel pipes downtown. We also met with DEC and the State Revolving Fund Program on funding options for those. So the bottom line is we've identified those 2 as key areas to focus on, and we're looking at potential funding possibilities in order to bring those options before the council. I also toured the water treatment and sewage treatment facilities last week with the utility supervisor, Paul Trissel, and I was pretty amazed at the amount of effort, facilities, and expertise it takes to provide clean water and sewage services to the city. And I would encourage those on the council, if you haven't taken a tour of the water plant, the water treatment plant, and the sewage facility, I'd encourage you to take that tour with Paul, and I can arrange that. It takes about an hour maybe to get through just the highlights. And again, you can see the effort that goes in to provide those services for the city. It's very educational and really helps inform decisions. For Public Works, they remain very busy. Those of you that are out and about over the last weekend, certainly you saw a lot of their efforts with beautification work, and they're also working inside on the council chambers and have several other tasks. For Public Works, we've adjusted some work based on air quality right now, and it's really having a limited impact. They're able to get done what needs to get done, but we are pulling them inside for specific projects when the air quality is really bad. And we are working on a couple other PW projects to include reestablishing the light poles that were disabled during the construction of the COVID facility. And also both PW and water utilities are exploring options for conversions of our oil boilers to natural gas. And we've actually got some backup generators that need natural gas that still haven't been hooked up right now. So more to follow a couple months on that effort. But again, the changes in the prices for oil are certainly affecting some of our decisions on which way to go for energy. And then finally, for building, I did meet with the Fairbanks North Star Borough's community planner, Kellen Spillman, for an orientation on zoning requirements. And he gave me a very good introduction for the strategic plan for North Star Borough and for North Pole. And it was useful insight into some of the zoning decisions that need to be made for the city. I'm also now part of the FAST committee, the Fairbanks Area Surface Transformation Committee, and an active member of that. And then finally, for the last 2 weeks of July, I'll be doing leadership training at the U.S. Army War College. This was a carryover from my previous position working for the federal government, but it's got direct benefits for the city of North Pole. And while I'm gone, Paul Trissel will act in my stead. And I'll open it up to questions from the council.
And thank you, Danny. Any questions for our Director of City Services? Yes, Mayor. I always call you Mayor. Councilman Jacobson.
That's okay. Danny, what is the timeline for replacing the out-of-date water pipes in the city? Do we have a timeline established yet, or?
Yeah, that is such a huge, it's going to be a multi-million-dollar project and probably a multi-year project. Right now, we're still at the assessment phase. So until we really need to gather more information on what's going to be involved in that project in order to give a timeline. So I really don't have that yet, but I think within the next couple months, we'll get an assessment. We'll get some project proposals from Stantec and Respect, and that'll give us a better idea of what we're up against.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions for Danny? Thank you for your timely report. I appreciate it. We'll go to Chief Dutra.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, council.
Hello, Chief.
First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Officer Chris Brigandy. He's on there. I see him. Anyway, I just want to introduce our new officer to the council, and Melissa's going to swear, excuse me, city clerk's going to swear him in. And just a quick background on Officer Brigandy. He's got about 4 years of experience as a police officer. He's a former Army. We're blessed to have him. He's super smart, young, reliable, and very cordial individual. So I would like to welcome him on board to the department. And you want to come on screen, Officer Brigandy, and the clerk can swear you in.
I think it's working. I've been sorting out technology issues here.
There you go.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I sure can.
Okay. I just wanted to have the oath up there just so that you can read it in case I talk too fast. Okay, so you want to raise your right hand? Okay, I, Christian Brigandy, do solemnly swear
I, Christian Brigandy, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
and the Code of Ordinances for the City of North Pole,
and the Code of Ordinances for the City of North Pole,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a police officer to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a police officer to the best of my ability.
Great, thank you.
Thank
If
you.
you want to pop by and sign this for me in the next couple of days, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard,
Welcome.
Officer Brigandy.
Thank you.
May I offer a little bit of my knowledge about Officer Brigandy when he worked for the other side. He was on a security detail out at Fort Wainwright, July of last year, when I met him, when I was out there with my wife to meet the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. So I talked with him up at the food court. You remember that conversation we had?
I sure do.
I do too. So that's where I first met you at. So I'm glad to see that you're on board. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Chief, for letting me say that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. And so next thing, I just want to thank the council for approving the equipment for tonight's meeting. At certainly something we need, and it certainly will further our preparedness for events that we may come encounter with. So appreciate that. So I did get stats to the council for May and June, so you get a double whopper to stare at for the night. But I do have to say that there's certainly a lot more activity as typical of summer. We have more traffic stops, more interactions, more calls for service. Definitely uptick from last year. If you notice, we put the year over year for you so you can have a comparison there. We've also, after 4 years, we've compiled a significant amount of history for you. If you looked at that Excel spreadsheet you got, it goes back quite a ways for you, so you can see the trends and things that might interest you to drill me on questions later if I don't have all the answers for you. But yeah, anyway, the trend is things are definitely ticking up. There's a little more citations. For the most part, all the crime is down, and major crime and minor crime, which is nice. DUIs, I was looking at some of the historical stuff. We're still well below our historical median average of DUI arrests. So that's good. Still staying low, and it's been trending that way for many years, and I hope it stays that way. But nothing much to add there for the stats, unless you have further questions for me.
Yes, Chief.
Sir.
Is there a way, like the same thing I just recommended to our chief accountant? Can you also share those things with the clerk so that we could put those up on display? Because keep in mind, this is now on YouTube and on Facebook, and people might want to see those stats. Can you do that in the future?
Yeah, I shared them with her. She has them.
I
do
have
you
them if
those?
you'd like to see them.
Yeah, please. I'd like to see just for this year so far. I don't need to go back all those years. I'm vision impaired these days too, so.
Maybe you want to prepare that while I continue to talk, Melissa?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
do.
So next on the list is ACOP. Just a little note on ACOP. The Alaska Association Chiefs of Police that I'm the president of. We put out an award last year, and Ron Wall, got that award for Chief of the Year. This year, that award was given to Juneau Police Chief Ed Mercer. And we posted on the ACOP website that he received that award, and he was nominated by his mayor, and it was well deserved, and we're proud of him. And he's a hard worker and a good man. If you've never met him, he's a good person and well received that award. There's the stats on display there for June 21 versus June 22. I'll give you a comparison of total calls for service and self-initiated and for the public there to look at. So next thing, we have the mayor and I, we had a staff meeting the other day, and the mayor had asked me a while back to give him some quotes for some speed trailers. These speed trailers that we gave him a quote for are kind of a multi-use speed trailers, not just displaying a person's speed and flashing at them, but it also has the ability to do a messaging. So we can add messages to that board and use it for other events in the city or other things that might happen or that's important to inform the public. So he's got those. I think they're roughly in around the $25,000 to $28,000 range, but well, hopefully we'll bring that in front of the council. We can find some funding for those later. We will, most of the staff for the rest of this week will be busy with a significant case we had back in 2005. We have a homicide case that we're going to be working a cold case on. So that's going to take up a lot of our time this week. Don't forget, July 27th is the Fallen Heroes ceremony. We're looking to move it to about 4 p.m. so the employees have time to clean up and get everything prepared before the end of the day. So hopefully you can attend the Fallen Heroes ceremony if you're members from the Memorial Park, and those folks that are on the wall. Every year we have a ceremony for that. Make sure we remember those folks who sacrificed for us all here in the borough. The other day on Friday, I attended Julie Ritchie's retirement party. And for those who don't know who Julie Ritchie is, she's a former dispatcher. She did work for the city back in the 90s. She completed her 30-year career as a dispatcher at FECC. Tremendous accomplishment. We congratulate her and Kevin, and we wish them well on their retirement. And on behalf of the citizens of North Pole, I did present to her a plaque. And we'll get that up on Facebook. I noticed it wasn't there, but we'll wanted to make sure we thanked her and made her understand that she might be behind the mic and she might be doing a lot of work there that nobody ever gets to see a face and a voice, doesn't know who's doing that. But for 30 years, Julie was just a steadfast, hard charger, professional, always there for us and making sure. She guided me in my younger days when I first came to North Pole and didn't know what I was doing with the dispatch center. And she kept me out of trouble and was always there late at nights and making sure that I got where I needed to go and I was safe. And I'm, super thankful for everything that dispatchers do for us as a law enforcement. It's a hard job and they can't find enough people to fill those slots as well, just like firefighters and police officers are hard to find these days. Sometimes it's a thankless job and they don't get appreciated for what they do, but we really wanted her to know that everything she's done for us is much appreciated. So we wish her luck in her retirement. We had a meeting with the governor. I'm not sure if I shared this with the council, but we had a meeting with the governor on the range, and it looks like the firing range is going to take probably a complete left turn and go a different direction. The governor is committed that he's going to seek out state property for likely for the range to be put on, and that he's looking to put it in his next year's budget to make sure that law enforcement gets a range built here in the interior. So I shall keep you posted on where that goes. He's basically placing the project in DPS's hands, which should be a good thing. They have more resources, and we're excited to see where that goes. So stay tuned. We just received word that our CDU HIDA detective, Detective Warner, will be moving on. He got a promotion. Moving on to promote the captains at FPD. So definitely step up from where he's at, and we wish him luck. And we really won't be losing him because we're working closely with him, just like we do with most of the command staff at FPD. So we wish him well. That means we will have a position open in the drug unit, which is a difficult position to fill, but we'll keep you posted on how that goes. Officer Brigandi should be finishing up his field training hopefully this week, and he'll be out on the road, and we're excited for that. So July 12th, we will be hosting Coffee with a Cop at Santa Claus House between 9 and 11. If you can find time to come by and share a coffee, maybe a donut. There might be a donut or two there. We'd like to see you. We'd love to see everybody out there. And I saw Howard Rixey on. I just wanted to shout out for North Pole Lions for their putting those flowers out at the park about a month ago, and it looked nice, and I appreciate you guys doing that for the Memorial Park. And I'd last like to shout out to welcome aboard Director Wallace. He's been great to work with, adamant professional, a real nice guy, and I'm just glad that you're here with us on our team. So welcome aboard.
Chief, I have something to add about the speed trail. I think I called you and told you a little bit about it. Pam Golden from State DOT knows that I've asked them to look into what it would take to change the speed limit to make it uniform along what road that they do take care for us, which is St. Nicholas Drive. And so she said, if it's more than a 15% difference, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So the best thing I can come up with is if we made a uniform speed limit from whatever, if the state law allows it, that it'd be 35 miles per hour, then there's no 15% difference. So if it was like from the circle on Santa Claus Lane, that turnaround, all the way to St. Nicholas Town to Busby, if it was 35 miles per hour, because right now I've got people going the part that's 40, once you pass St. Nick's, from St. Nick's Catholic Church down to Busby, they're doing 50. And so let them, they say they're going to put out some gathering devices. So they're going to know how much traffic we're getting along St. Nicholas and what the average speed is. They're going to start tracking that, I think, after the 12th of July. So they'll give us a feedback, and then that'll give you an idea of why we probably need one of those speed limit signs too, that flash to you what the speed limit is and what you're doing. Because as we grow in the southern region back here of Brookside Park, it's going to really be something we need to get control of now for the people that are speeding up and down, because Three Bears has expected us to have an offshoot off of St. Nicholas to come in from the north side of the Three Bears compound on what we call Track C, at 25 acres. I know they'll come in off of Busby, and it can also come down through the neighborhood off of Blanket to Psalms Boulevard. So, but you can imagine if people are flying 50 miles per hour and someone puts on their turn signal to turn in from the north side of the Track C to go to Three Bears, somebody could get slammed into real easy the way people are speeding there now. So that's my observation, at least. So we'll wait for Miss Golden to get the thing started, but I just want you to be aware of it so we can ride herd on that together, okay? Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Dutra? Thank you for a good report, Chief. Appreciate it. And take that under advisement. The clerk was listening to me as well. I think we should start showing these stats and numbers and things and sharing them with people. Who's next on the chart here? Chief Heineken?
Yeah, good evening, mayors, council members. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July and enjoyed their holiday. Unfortunately, this year, it was once again a year where we couldn't celebrate with fireworks. Last Tuesday, the decision was made within the city to disallow the sales of fireworks from our vendors. We worked pretty closely with the vendors that were intending to open this year, and they definitely were appreciative of the communication and really understood the need to close fireworks sales this year. So maybe next year we'll get a little bit more rain, be able to get back to a normal year. But all in all, I think most people went about their 4th of July and had a good time. So 2 weeks ago, the fire department underwent its annual pump testing of the pumps that are on the fire trucks. We have 4 of them to test every year, and we test those in-house with our staff. They did a phenomenal job. They knocked them out within a weekend, actually. All pumps tested appropriately and passed with flying colors. So one more of our annual seasonal summer projects out of the way this year without too much difficulty. And last Tuesday, the airport fire and police department conducted a large-scale drill. Many of you have probably heard about this. Very well operated drill, and they simulated a taxi event. A plane with passengers was taxiing when an earthquake happened, and the plane actually taxied itself into a hole, causing a mass casualty event. So North Pole Fire Department did participate with that drill. We sent one of our ambulances, a rescue truck, and then a chief officer to that drill. All personnel that were there reported that it went extremely smooth. One of the fastest drills of that size I think I've seen. So I think within 45 minutes, they had most of the stuff wrapped up and most of the patients where they needed to be. So kudos to the staff there at Fairbanks International and all of the area fire and police departments that participated with that. It went really well. And the last thing I have is just to one of our last annual testings for the summer is hydrant testings that will be coming up. So we have scheduled to do hydrant testing from July 18th to July 29th. So just want to get the word out to the public that we'll be out in the neighborhoods, flowing the hydrants. And it does move a lot of water throughout the system when we do that. So it has been known in the past, it could possibly discolor the water a little bit because it stirs up a little bit of sediment. So I just want to warn everybody that those 2 weeks will be out hitting it pretty hard. And I'm hoping that the weather actually turns a little bit so it's not quite so hot out there in the sun as the staff spend long days out there working on those hydrants. And if that's all I have tonight. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Chief Heineken? Thanks for keeping us up to speed, Chief. We'll go now to Special Assistant to the Mayor and HR, Ellie Glatt. Ellie, now that you're back, welcome back.
Thank you. Some of you know, some of you don't. I've been at home the last 2 weeks. My husband was kind enough to give me COVID. So I finally got to come back to the office today. I don't have a very large report. For the most part, I worked with the rest of the staff to work on things from home and try to help alleviate some of the digitalized items that they needed done so that they could focus on other projects at hand. I am happy to say that Chief Heineken has a new person who started training with Michelle today. And I met her in person because I didn't get to meet her in person before because I wasn't able to come in, but her and Michelle seemed to get along very well. And they were firing away with getting knowledge base. I also want to tell you guys that the military appreciation banquet was definitely an experience for me and my husband. One, he was happy being that appreciating military as he does and used to be in the Marines, that he was happy to get to see Mattis. That was a big deal for him considering where Mattis was at, almost 30 years ago now. But the two that we hosted, Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez, were extremely excited that we were there because they felt they had something in common with us as far as lifestyle and family. So they definitely are people that we're staying in touch with to make sure that they have people that they can feel comfortable around in the area, being that they're here on station here at the time, and they don't know that they'll be here permanently. So having people who have the same age range as kids at the same age that they are seem to be quite a comfort to them having us there. As far as anything else going on, again, like I said, I worked from home, so I did get a lot of work done and drove everybody crazy with emails and stuff for them to go over in the coming weeks, and rescheduled some meetings pertaining to the policy manual, and our safety meeting unfortunately for June is delayed until this Friday because I wasn't able to host it this last week as planned, but that seems to be going well. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have at the moment.
Any questions for Ellie? Thank you. I'm glad to see you're back up on your horse there. And, we got a lot of range to cover as we ride. We'll go to our borough representative, Ms. Welch.
Yep, I did attend the borough meeting via Zoom on the 23rd, so a couple of weeks ago. There's another one coming up. Pretty much the mayor Ward, he did a quick report, and he again was talking about the fire district that they are working on out in Pleasant Valley, and by now they should have had the meeting. I haven't seen anything further of that. They're still also, of course, working to hire lots of people like everybody else is. The city of Fairbanks was next, and they were inviting everybody to take a good look at the street art that was done on down on the sidewalks and on 5th Street and on forget what the other one is that runs.
Lacey.
Lacey, that's right. It's on Lacey. And so go and enjoy that while it lasts, because it's of course not going to stay there for long, because I think they're redoing that street also, like all the other streets that are being done. I don't know how anybody really makes it up and down those streets on a regular basis. And I know Mr. Jacobson here, he wants more money in his coffers down there. So they're going to increase the garbage collection by $5 a household. The city is also applying to become a part of the military zone. Did I hear something about that got turned down at your latest meeting or something? Mr. Jacobson, I'm not sure.
Yes, it did get turned down.
Yeah, that was just because they were very excited about reporting that. And the next meeting is supposed to be on the 27th, and everybody's welcome to come do that. They are also looking at, in August, they have some special events related to, and there's going to be more on that, to have closer relationships with people event. It was a little confusing, but it's going to be at the Golden Heart Plaza, and there'll be more information out, and I'll make sure I query them about dates and times, and we'll be able to report on that. The Diversity Council also meets on Tuesdays at 5:30 in the City Hall, and they are looking for more people to do that, and you don't have to be a citizen of the city to be part of that. They're looking for people from the whole borough to be part of that. School district, I think, is off for the summer, so they didn't have a rep. Some of the things that they were talking about were the ordinances. They did pass an ordinance on compensating election officials. The state has something for that. They didn't specify what it was, but we here in the borough now have something that's better than that. We can't do less than what it is, but we can do something that's better. Maybe Ms. Dion has heard more about exactly, but they will now be compensated, and I hope that that's going to mean that we have an easier time finding people who will volunteer and be paid to work the election. So hopefully that will help out. The other things that were going on, they tried to get the amount of, Mr. Lejeski was very interested in trying to figure out who was going to approve the amount of money and contracts modifications. So he tried to get the dollar amount changed so that most of it would come back to the council or to the assembly. It seems like the finance committee has a lot of power to what actually gets to come there, and he really wanted it back, and also so that people could come and comment on it. It was eventually, despite things that they tried, was voted down. What else was there? So they get some moving around of money to the solid waste disposal. They're putting up a new cell because apparently we have a lot of trash in this place. And so they're going to put in a cell number 4, and they're putting in about $1 million to do another cell for that. The ordinance, what else was it there? They also spending some money on getting a new bus that's supposed to be electric gas instead of running on gas or on diesel. So that's another thing. The one that really had everybody up in arms were an ordinance where they are talking about that they're putting up the process of the Pioneer Park area that's called the Salmon Bake up for a competitive bid on their lease. And that had a lot of people up in arms over that. Pretty much what happened was, I think the borough has been giving them a very nice lease that's under the market value, and they couldn't get anybody, this is their excuse, they couldn't get anybody to go out and actually take a look at it and what is it worth with the improvements and everything else. And so since they didn't have an assessment on it, they couldn't really charge what they wanted to charge. They couldn't negotiate with the people from the Salmon Bake. So eventually it had to, the only way they could do it, and they gave them another extension. And I would say pretty much, and that was the kind of the consensus of the whole assembly, was that the administration had been asleep at the switch instead of getting a solution before it came down to, because they have to have a lease in place by September to be able to order all the stuff that they need from the vendors and stuff like that for the coming year. And so the only way they actually came down, even though they don't want to competitively bid, because theoretically they could be kicked out of that, and they've been there for like 33 years or something like that. It's a long time they were there, and so it was really everybody was really up in arms trying to find a way that they could get around this idea. But so eventually they did have to pass it so that they would hurry up and go through the process, and they put in some kind of what they would call safeguards, that it has to be somebody who has experience working with large amount of public, and they get extra points for being used to working with tourists and longevity and a whole bunch of things. So I wouldn't say they totally stacked it in their favor, but I don't think there's many possible bidders out there who would be able to fit in with all those criteria. Some of them are already in it, but several more were added to it. So hopefully we will have our salmon baked there next year, because they even had in the ordinance that it was supposed to be a salmon bake like business. So it was pretty interesting. And that was about the end of that, I think.
So any questions of our representative based on her report? Thank you for your report. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
We go to City Clerk, Miss Melissa.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So just today, I received my certificate for my 40 hours from my training from PD1 towards my CMC. So that was super cool. So your money wasn't wasted. I've been working on the website with Revise and getting them all the information they need, putting together kind of our little team of people who are going to have inputs. I've talked to Melanie about some stuff as far as the utility billing goes. So we're kind of getting that like in the works. I've been working with Ellie, Miss Glab, on the storefront idea. So thank you guys so much for approving that. I think it's going to be super awesome. And we can put that QR code to get to that site on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page. We can even put it on our business cards and stuff if we wanted to, kind of get that North Pole gear out there. And then most of the time, the last couple weeks, it's been just elections. So I've been working with the other clerks in the borough and the city of Fairbanks. We are going to walk in the Golden Days Parade here in a couple of weekends, handing out some information about local elections and the seats that we have available. Our website has been updated with our seats information of what's available coming up. So if you guys know anybody who would like to run, we're looking for some good candidates. And that's about it.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions for our clerk? And congratulations on your certification. So you're
Thank
on
you.
your way. Next thing I know, you'll be one of those master municipal clerks, right?
That's the plan eventually.
I think you'll do it. Congratulations. Okay, now everybody's been patient and it's 8 o'clock straight up. We're going to item 9, ongoing projects report. And the first person in the door here, I believe, is Mr. Howard S. Rixey Sr. Howard?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members there. So the first thing I would like to address, I'm going to put my North Pole Alliance hat on. So far this evening, I've heard like about 3 different things that really are items that potentially could go on our community marquee in the roundabout. The example was the Chief Dutra, I think you said coffee with cops. And then Chief Heineken, you were talking about hydrant testing. And then actually the Memorial Park stand down. Those are all things that we can put on the marquee. You guys, all you have to do is shoot us an email at northpolelions@gmail.com. Make something that's really brief. I mean, you only get 7 seconds to see that whatever on the screen there, but you're more than welcome to send us those kinds of things, and we'll put them out there. So, anyways, I wanted to mention that. So I'm sure the mayor mentioned that the chamber did do the firecracker run. We obviously were very hesitant on going forward or not going forward with it, with the air quality and everything else, but God blessed us and gave us reasonable air quality that morning there. I think we had 69 participants there, not including some kids that were in the buggies. And so that went really well. The other thing I wanted to mention, and the main reason why I wanted to be on the meeting there, is just give you, again, progress to date, if you would, on our visitor center initiatives there. So, one, Jeff, thank you very much for your historical perspective last meeting. I did dig deeper on the records there as far as the property goes for the old site. I never found out what the donated value was, but I did see that it was donated and it wasn't just a quick claim deed kind of thing there. And so the chamber has decided to sell the property, and more to come on that. We're working up a press release and everything else on that there. So currently the assessed value on the property is about 15 grand. So, I mean, if we can get something like that there, that'll go a long way for our other project. And we also have tentatively an organization that's willing to tear down the old one. So that'd be the case there. As far as the new one, so we're still working with Matt Gavora on our potential site. I heard rumor that there might be some opposition to the property behind Wendy's. So the chamber is really interested in seeing where at least the council is leaning towards that. So we can, again, continue to broker whatever deal we're going to do with Matt Gavora for that piece that's in the North Pole Plaza. I just talked to him today. He is still having his engineer firm going out there and getting the lay of the land as far as easements goes and all that. And the practicality of us putting our site there. They're doing an on-site meeting next week. And so I'm going to go sit in with him, with the engineers and what have you there. Anyways, and we have someone that's interested in kind of spearheading the actual construction project part of it there to help us facilitate all the wickets for the city and the borough as far as permits and all that kind of stuff there as far as the construction goes there. But we're really, I mean, before we can go ask for people's money and stuff to donate towards this new thing here, we really need to appreciate what's the will of the council as far as them helping us leverage whatever to broker this deal with Matt Gavora. So that's all I have, unless you have questions.
I do have a question for you, Howard. I'm about 88% sure that on or about August 8th, that's a Monday, as I am en route somewhere down to Los Anchorage and perhaps later to Sitka, that I'll have an opportunity to meet with 3 bears in Wasilla. You want me to pursue the idea of going into Tract C to build what you call not just a visitor center, but a real welcome center to be year round?
Yeah, it's definitely a welcome center. Yeah, just as Mr. Mayor, just as we said at the last meeting.
Right. I just want to make sure, so
We
I might
haven't changed our minds on that there, but we also haven't changed our minds on not building the one that we want to build right now.
Yeah, but if I want to get this done, and you want to get it done, a permanent welcome center, then that would be, or not welcome, but you know what I mean.
Welcome
Just
center.
overall, that showcases. I need to know some more about the size that you need, how much acreage you need, how many parking spaces you might need. So, and I can't have that on. A matter of fact, I'd have to put it before the council on our August 1st agenda, which means I need to have it by Tuesday, the 24th. That's
We'll try to put together a one-page talker.
Okay, on Tuesday, the 24th, before 1 o'clock, on Tuesday, the 24th. For me to get it in the newspaper and everything, I have to have it before 1 p.m. on Tuesday, the 24th. If I'm looking at my calendar correct, I might
All
not
right.
be looking at it correct. Let me see, I'm wrong. It's Tuesday, the 26th, excuse me. Tuesday, the 26th of July. I have to have the
I'll stick with
information.
the 24th. That'll give me a two-day buffer.
Oh, yeah. Well, I won't be talking to you on Sunday, the 24th, I don't think. But if you get it to me by 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the 26th, that'll be adequate. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Any questions or concerns or comments for Howard? Thank you, Howard. Appreciate your.
So before you leave me there, Mr. Mayor, I'd really like to appreciate what the council members' opinion is of at least our proposal as far as that plot of land there behind Wendy's. I mean, granted, you're not going to make a decision here, but you guys can at least give us an indication of, hey, I have some concerns. I don't have any opposition at this time. I'd really appreciate that so we can move forward and at least give Matt Gabor an idea
Right.
whether this is toast or what.
Well, you can get that if we put that on the agenda. So it's not something we just do. It'd be out of order just to start talking as individual council persons. You may or may not understand that, but that is how we do things. So we have to actually have something from you, a proposal from you, more than what we've had, because I still don't have anything much that I think that would concretely put this on the agenda for our next meeting in July here. We could put it before the council then.
Please clarify. I'm sorry. So
You're being very clear. I hope I'm being very clear. If somebody want to jump in and help here.
No, I just want to appreciate what you just said.
You know,
So
July, if I need to know if we want to poll the council, we do that in a formal way.
No, I got that.
Yeah.
I got that. No, it sounded like you just said that we needed to submit something to you to formally put the proposal on the agenda. I thought that's what we did at the last meeting with our request.
Well, somehow it didn't make it onto this meeting here. So we'll get it. And I might have to have some feedback from you before July the 12th. 12th is a Tuesday. We do things based on getting things in the newspaper. So we'll try to do it then. So that if I get something, if we need something from you on July 12th, any clarification or reassertment or however you want to put it, so that it could be on the July 18th and we could discuss it on July 18th in a formal way. How's that sound?
Yeah, because I appreciate that, because I know in our request that the previous meeting there, we requested 4 different action items by the council. So, yeah.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have Misty from Norfolk Community Chamber of Commerce with us too. Misty? Is she there?
She was just being a fly on the wall.
Here
Mr.
she
Mayor.
is.
Yep.
I just walked back in the door from picking up my kiddo. I've been listening the whole time. But yes, we will definitely get something together because we are very interested in the property with Matt Gavora. So we will try to have that to you here very shortly. Maybe more of a formal proposal with more specific action items.
That's what I'm trying to ask for, a formal proposal.
Yep.
From
We
you.
will definitely get that to you so we can discuss it at the next council meeting. Up until then, we do appreciate all the help we had with the fun run from you specifically and from the council in general. We are moving forward and we are growing fast, and it's very exciting, and I look forward to seeing where we go, and we appreciate all of you guys and everything that you do.
Thank you, Misty. And I thank all the people that came out. I can't even begin to imagine how many people you had. I saw a lot of people I recognized that were out here very early yesterday morning, because I got here about 7:25. So I saw the people are out here and they worked all the way through. And there were a lot of participants. I was a little scared when Howard came to me and said something was all locked up, and I couldn't visualize what he was talking about. And I know what it is. It's a bar across the beginning of the trail so people can't drive their motorized vehicles along the trail. But and I don't even know if anybody even has a key to unlock that barrier that's there. And it's also a barrier at the other end when you come out at the other end of the park there. So, But thank you for taking an active leadership role in that, and thank your whole group for that too. When's your next meeting, Misty?
All meetings are always held the second Thursday. So that would make it not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, and everyone is always welcome. They are completely open to the public. We do
6
host a
p.m.
Zoom, and I do post that. I will post that on our Facebook page. That is the main way to get a hold of us right now, as our website is under construction. We're expecting that to be done very soon. There's just a couple little things that we have to finish up to make sure it runs smoothly. But until then, Facebook is the best way to kind of track our progress and where we're going in our next events.
Is that Thursday, the 14th at 6 p.m. at the McKinley Bank?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Madam Clerk, for ongoing projects? Seeing
Nope,
no one
nothing
else.
I know of.
Item 10 is citizens' comments limited to 5 minutes per citizen. Are any citizens waiting to comment?
Nope.
Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Go to item 11. Old business. Item A, ordinance 2213, City of North Pole to fund Shannon Wilson's proposal for the PFAS cleanup described in the 2022 work plan that we'll find on pages 10 through 16. Madam Clerk, you want to tell us the background behind it?
Yeah, point of information, we're gonna change what we called that. I should not have put PFAS cleanup. We want to change it to PFAS site assessment. None of the wording in the ordinance itself is going to change, just the title.
So we're just changing the title to a PFAS site assessment from a PFAS cleanup. And we've already approved this in the first time it was introduced. So do we need any further discussion on this ordinance 2213?
Move to approve it.
Motion for approval,
Second.
seconded by Jacobson. Madam Clerk, any further discussion on it? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mrs. Welch,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Thank you. I see that now is passed, so let the record show that it was 6-0. Thank you. Under new business, we consented items A, B, and C, so there's no new business to discuss. So we go to item 13, council comments. Who's first, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jacobson.
Thank you. Congratulations to everyone for successful events this past weekend. It was great to see folks coming into town. There was a little bit of hiccup around 10 o'clock as I was driving through town. I noticed that there were a lot of families pulling up on Santa Claus Lane in preparation to watch the parade. And once I confirmed with the mayor that there was not a parade after the color run, I went back and stopped at each of the families along the sidewalk and told them that there was no parade and to go over to the Grange where there'd be family activities and food from noon to 6. So a lot of folks, and I also gave them directions on how to get there because a lot of people didn't know about the Grange location. But it was a great day for that. As far as the garbage collection fees, it's that darn borough that keeps upping their tipping fee $4 and $5 a ton increase every year. That forces us to have to raise our collection fees for the same thing. But we're a self-supporting enterprise fund with the garbage collection at Public Works, so we collect just enough to cover our expenses for garbage service. And just like to thank the mayor for spearheading and being the face of North Pole with his wife and going to so many activities and events and representing the city very well. I just really appreciate that visibility that he has given the city. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Mrs. Welch.
Well, also, happy birthday to our country here. It's an honor to be able to celebrate it as a citizen now for many years. But Met several people here who just recently here who said that this would be their first birthday of being a citizen. They recently took their citizenship, and I can tell you, besides the birth of my children and getting married, I would probably say that is probably one of the proudest days that I have ever had, and being able to stand up and finally say, well, yeah, I've been believing in this for a while, but now it's actually official. So to those people who came in here this year, welcome to the United States as proper citizens, doing it the right way. And other than that, thank you to all the people who were part of creating this event, these events, because there's more. Santa Seniors with their breakfast, the firecracker run, which I think is going to become an annual thing, if I'm not wrong, that they already talked about that. And of course, the people at the Grange just doing a good job. All musicians that came out and all the vendors, we really appreciate it. We'll work on it some more and make it even better. And they were even talking about putting a parade in there in the middle of all of that. I know the mayor was talking about maybe we should start at midnight so we could be there in the cool of the day. That would kind of be interesting to have a 24-hour celebration starting right at midnight and then go all the way around till we're out, so we can celebrate the whole so we'll see what happened with that, but that is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Skips?
Yes, I'd just like to congratulate and welcome Chris to the police department.
Thank you. Mr. Claus?
Just echoing Councilman Welch's comments. Congratulations to everybody who participated in our July 4th events. It was a lot of fun. I had fun judging the watermelon eating contest. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy the nice weather.
Thank you. I also got some really great pictures up on the Facebook page from yesterday.
Thank
There's
you.
some of you. Mr. Cromer?
I just want to say I hope everyone had a great 4th of July, and the weather's clearing up. So I hope everybody gets out there and have some fun this summer.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much. Well, there's a lot of things that come up to me this time of year in my life. So I'll just go very briefly down memory lane. Tomorrow, July 6th, will be my 49th anniversary of active duty in the U.S. Air Force. And the first thing I know is that I'm on my way to King Salmon, Alaska, in a NORAD control center. And I learned to control F-4 Phantoms out of the combat alert cell to chase Soviet bogies out of our airspace. Guess what? 49 years later, nothing much has changed. We're still in those kind of cat and mouse games with the Russians. I still like to call them Soviets, but I've never let my guard down about them yet. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But everything comes full circle. So the same strategic and tactical needs that we saw 49 years ago still exist even more so today. July 6th, tomorrow, would also be the 23rd anniversary of my family and us arriving to Fairbanks with my mother-in-law and everything to move up here permanently when we escaped Tampa, Florida. So that was a big thing. I said we rolled the dice because on 7/7, I started at the Fairbanks International Automated Flight Service Station. So that's when I started to end out my federal civilian career. So that's all sits right there in my head. The thing is that I think I may have already explained to you guys that I was at the Executive Observers Program out at the golf course back on Father's Day. And sitting at our table, we had a German general, brigadier general named Raditz, and we had an Indian air commander of the Indian Air Force. And the one thing I thought that was important is that in talking with Raditz, he joined the Air Forces as a young flight officer, and he flew Phantoms starting in 1979, F-4 Phantoms. And so we had a lot in common. He's about 5 years younger than I am. He stayed in the Air Forces until he was 41, but the need, became so great to have someone for experience, they brought him back into the Air Force, and he went to their staff college, and he's now on the general staff. That's why he's a brigadier general. And so he really looks at air defense of all of Germany. And but between him and the Air Commander Sharma from India, what they shared with me, my wife, was a profound, I almost want to say fear, that we're in a situation with Ukraine right now where it's touch and go about what the world has in store for us, our NATO allies, and also when you're talking about India, you're talking about our what we call Indo-PACOM, so the Indonesian Pacific Command, Indo-PACOM. So you're talking about all the way from Australia, New Zealand, all the way up to Japan, India, you name it. It's very, very difficult world to try to figure out. And I'm hoping that our country would be able to heal itself in many ways, that we would understand how to, compromise on some of our differences, because now is not a time for us to be divided. Now is a time for us not to be weak as a nation or as a society or as a culture, and certainly not here in North Pole as a community. Because I think one of the nicest things what we had yesterday out at the Grange is that we recognized military families, even to the point that we had a drawing. And so the family that won the drawing that the city of North Pole participated in was from Greeley, Fort Greeley, all the way from Fort Greeley. And they were just bowled over that the city recognized and awarded them a $100 gift certificate to Pagoda. Unfortunately, that meant they couldn't go to Pagoda last night when it was over with, because Pagoda's closed on Mondays. So they'll have to come back some other day, but they come in and out of here all the time. So with that in mind, I'll conclude my comments. Wish everyone well as we try to get through what's left of this summer, make the most of it, try to do it as safe as we can, and let's all pray for some rain. So with that, we go to me asking, are we prepared to adjourn?
Mayor, move to adjourn.
There's a motion from Santa Claus to adjourn.
Second.
Second, make it so at 8:23. Thank you, folks. Good night.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Night. You guys have fun.
Thank you for all that stuff with the website. I think that's just super
I'm super
good
excited
idea.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's gonna
I
be great.
mean, I thought it was a great idea. So
I agree. I'm gonna go order myself some swag when we get it done.
I'm hoping that it's beneficial for us and that we can, maybe help cover, maybe incentives for the employees and different things that it opens up.
people yesterday asked me about T-shirts.
Yeah, I get asked all the time.
I said, no, I'm sorry, we don't. And Mike was there, so we ended up, they got a little flag, so
Yeah.
that was a good thing.
Yeah,
So-
well, and we can do some other logos too. It doesn't just have to be that logo. And if the police and the fire department want to piggyback on this too, I mean, there's no reason why we can't have a whole big channel for everybody.
It should be everybody's out there.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so easy. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Nothing. All we have to do is put it together, and it does, and make sure that we share it and make it available for people.
And that's what I like so much about it, because you do not have to have Ellie sit there and lick stamps and stuff like that all day to try to fill orders, and then when it's not the right one or they didn't like it or whatever, then it has to go back again in the mail, and it just ends up costing a lot of money. Doesn't do that when you have something like that.
Well, and the quality of this one is actually pretty good. I have a shirt from them, and it's comfortable and it fits right.
Yeah.
And I like the company itself.